Welcome to another edition of the eSpot with Camille. The eSpot is your location for the latest in entertainment, beauty, and design from the people who make it. Thanks for joining. Hello, welcome everyone to another episode of the eSpot with Camille. I am your host, Camille Cower, and I cannot wait for you to meet my guest. Her name, messing up already. Their name is M. Woods. Please forgive me. I will make this mistake quite a bit. I'm horrible with pronouns. That's my disclaimer. I'm going to put it out there. So there it is. Truth and transparency. M. Woods has over 14 years of experience in the film and television industry with an acute concentration in the world of production, managing and coordinating films, commercials, and pilots, major studios like Warner Brothers, HBO, Netflix, Paramount. The list goes on and on. Script edits and storyline and character synopsis, dialogue punch-ups for writers and directors. M has provided copy edits for numerous clients, included but not limited to Scholastic, WC3, Netflix, ABC. Again, the list goes on and on. Just check her IMDb. I swear, check their IMDb. You'll see the list goes on and on. Without any further ado, and before I keep messing up with the pronouns and so on, please bear with me. I'm so bad at this naturally. Blame it on dyslexia, blame it on ADHD. I really have no good excuse, but I'm working on it. So without any further ado, please meet my guest, M. Woods. I'm so excited to have you.
Hi, how are you?
I'm great. How are you? It's so much harder to, like, in abstract world, to think of a person as a they and a them as a new concept, for me anyway.
Don't worry.
And you're my first as a guest. So
honored.
That I know of, actually, now that I think about it, because who knows what happens? A lot changes in a year.
We're going to have to do a deep dive later and find out.
Yeah. Where are they now? Exactly. So without any further ado, please tell everyone, how did you even get started in the film industry?
I started, I was a big theater nerd in high school and all that. Was like a singer, did all these things, but I was super shy. And then when I got to college, I started taking writing courses and was going to go playwriting, ended up getting a master's in screenwriting, and then wanted to be in the industry somehow, but just sort of lost, I wasn't really enjoying writing that much anymore. Mm-hmm. And I ended up just, working at a restaurant, PAing occasionally here and there, and not really, kind of not having direction. Mm-hmm. And then one of my friends was an APOC, an assistant production coordinator on Army Wives in Charleston, South Carolina. And they had a PA quit, and she was like, can you come, do this? And I was like, yeah, put in my notice at the restaurant. And it was a really nice restaurant. And I was looking at my paychecks, and I was like, man, I think I can make this work. I can take this pay cut. It'll be fine. Yeah. And then when I did it, I was so broke for 3 years, so broke. I did not realize, because I didn't even make that switch till I was 30 years old. I'd worked in publishing, I'd done other things, but I started PAing at 30, which is later. But I think you also have a breadth of knowledge about how to work and learn at that point. So I was able to move up quickly. So I started PAing. I really enjoyed that. I liked my Virgo tendencies were good for the office work. And I just sort of worked my way up to production secretary, assistant production coordinator, and coordinating and all that. So yeah, it kind of happened. It was like a happy accident.
Yeah. Well, dive in a little bit on those Virgo tendencies. What skills or skill set you think works best for what you do?
I'm extremely detail oriented. I'm very organized at work. At home, absolutely not. At work,
I'm not getting paid for it while I'm at home.
Exactly. Yeah. I just tend to, I'm really able to compartmentalize, multitask, do all of that at work. And it's for me, working in production, because it's really, it encompasses everything that other departments don't want to do. Right. A lot of that stuff just sort of lands on us, and we're there for prep, production, and then wrap. So we're there from the very beginning, sort of building this little company for a while. Yeah. And then there's a lot of logistical points to that, and I really like that. And it's basically like putting together a puzzle.
Yeah. So when you were going through I guess the broke era of your production work, no, I mean, so many times people will want to give up or like, well, I just should try something else. But explain what kept your drive going. Like what, I mean, because of course there's the downtime and so on that in between your production.
Yeah.
I think it would be expensive. Yeah.
I really realized that like a 9 to 5 was not for me. Like I can't sit in an office. I'd done that. And it was fine, but it was not where I wanted to be. And I was sort of tired of the restaurant industry and, power to all the people that do it for a living. I think it's incredible, but I'm not one of those people. I couldn't keep going like that. And for some reason, I just felt like this was my chance. I shouldn't give up on it. And I just didn't want to, I didn't want to look back and think like, oh, what if? Because I've had a lot of what if moments, but like throughout my years. But at that point, like when I between 30 and 33, I was like, this might be the last chance I get. Who knows? So I just didn't want to give up on that.
Yeah. And in the beginning, were most of the productions here in North Carolina or all around the nation? Like, how did you go about even, I guess, once you got started, how did you keep getting the next gigs?
Well, I lucked out in that Army Wives was an established show when I started on it. It was in its 4th season. So I, excuse me. So I started on the 4th season and they were like a family. Like I was immediately spoiled in terms of who I was working with, and everybody kept being like, not all shows are like this, like very few. And I was like, no, this is perfect. This is great. Aside from the money, this is great. And so I was with them for season 4, season 5, season 6, and then season 7, I got the opportunity to go out to LA and be their script coordinator, which was fantastic.
Yeah.
And so I got to see it from like the whole other like writer's room side. But mostly I worked in Charleston, and because Charleston, South Carolina has a tax incentive like South Carolina does, just like North Carolina. And so that was where I did a couple pilots, some TV movies, and Army Wives. And then once that kind of died down, I had to go back to F&B for about a year, and that was harsh.
What's F&B?
Food and bev.
Oh, got it.
Food and bev. So we call it on the inside.
Yeah.
And then I started getting a couple opportunities in Savannah. And so I worked in Savannah, which is a beautiful city to work in, and they have a good crew base. And I kind of thought maybe I should go to Atlanta, Georgia, because that's like the mini like Hollywood on the East Coast. And so I did that, and I was there for 5 years, and I got a lot of work there, but I started to work out of town a lot, which I really liked because you get more money.
Especially if they don't hire you as a local.
Exactly. You get your per diem, you get, housing, all of that. So, and I just started, it was more fun for me. I really have like a very nomadic approach to living, I think. So that was a lot of fun. I got to work in Israel. I got to work in Colorado. I got to work in a lot of really great places. Louisiana, New Orleans, Texas, which I ended up moving here to Austin 6 months ago. So most of it started in South Carolina. And then when I made the leap to Georgia, that's kind of when things opened up.
Wow. So Austin, Texas is the new, it's not really the East Coast. That's the Midwest. So I guess, is that becoming the next Hollywood too?
Yeah, there's a lot. So Texas has a lot of film incentives. There's a great, great film.
Well, they're lucky because I'm still bitter from HB2 when that bill passed and we lost we lost every industry, basically left North Carolina.
That was insane. Yeah, that was nuts.
Yeah. And I was like, wait, why are all these other states who have horrible politics not being banned on the same level so we can get that film industry back? Yeah. Selfishly, but at the same time, it's like, wait, Texas is doing a lot right now. So
Texas, it's hard. It's hard living in, Austin is very much its own world. Like I noticed that I have a tendency to live in blue dots within red states. So I guess I like to swim upstream a little bit, but have like a bit of a comfort level in those blue dots. But Texas, it's wonderful. Austin is wonderful. When you kind of get out of Austin, it's very Texas.
I've only worked in Houston and Dallas, so I've been lucky in that sense, the same way where it's kind of a blue place in a red state. But I do live in North Carolina, so it has the purple tendencies almost everywhere. You never know. Well, especially
when a battleground as of late.
I have the amount of anti-anxiety medication I have to take coming up for this election. It's like we have the governor and the president. That's really scary.
Oh my gosh.
And the school superintendent. But thankfully, my daughter only has 2 more years of school. So I'm hoping the homeschooler who's never had any children in school systems doesn't do too much damage if she happens to win. But neither here nor there. I love that you've worked on so many different things and you've done so many different positions as well, because not only with script supervising, but with production coordinator. Can you share a little bit like which of those you like better, or the joys of being able to wear multiple hats? Because I think sometimes people are always told you need to stick in a particular niche. Hello, Beyonce. But obviously we're learning that you can have multiple interests and be great at a lot of different things.
Yeah. First of all, my vinyl record of Cowboy Carter arrived on Monday, and it is amazing.
That's what I was listening to right before we started.
Oh, really?
You were like, why is she listening to gospel? It wasn't. It was Beyonce.
She sings Latin. Okay, we won't get into it. This is amazing.
All I know is just like a quick commercial break, not sponsored by Beyonce, but have to out myself on this. I was not a big Beyonce fan. I was more of a Rihanna girl. Like I was holding out for that album that's never going to come. I've now realized. And I switched teams after this album. Like this album was so good because I'm not a fan of country music after being traumatized at an all-girls Southern Baptist college.
That'll do it.
Like the change of a banjo. And I'm like, So I was like, there's no way I'm listening to a whole album. I've listened to it every single day, all day, every chance I get. So kudos, you did it. Yeah.
I mean, I'm a white person, as people can probably tell, and it's inspiring to me. So I can't even imagine. I know, shocking.
And I was born in Louisiana, so there's that other element of like, oh my God, she keeps shouting out Louisiana. So,
nice. All right. Yeah. Well, yeah, it's just I can't even begin to like go like how inspiring it must be for people, like people of color. Like it's mind blowing, and it's so smart. Every decision she made is so there's meaning behind everything. It's incredible. It's tasteful. It's like, it's not just like, oh, this has meaning, but it's loaded and it's not, it doesn't connect emotionally, like sometimes like you're reading like a biography or something and you're like, this is really boring, even though this is all true. Like this is like passionate and beautiful. So
complete opposite, because the Renaissance album I did not listen to. So I heard the TikTok enough, like I felt like I heard the whole album through TikTok. So I didn't need to, but now I'm feeling like, okay, let me go back and see that. And all the people that were like, you got to go see the movie as soon as it comes out. Okay. You guys were right. I'll go do all the things. I was wrong. I just feel like I have to out myself on that. And since you brought it up, but, so back to you, since you're also doing all these multi things like Beyonce. Just kidding.
Yeah, pretty much. We have the same birthday.
Yeah, like if Beyonce can do it, don't make me stick in just one lane. We can all
exactly. We share the same birthday, so maybe it's something about September 4th.
Those Virgos.
Yeah, my Bay Day, I call it.
I love it.
But yeah, I think for me, because I had the writing background, it was easier for me to go back and forth. Plus, it sounds funny, but having ADHD, I take up a lot of new hobbies and then abandon them very quickly. So yeah, I call it my hobby graveyard. But in work, I'm able to, like, something piques my interest and I'm able to go with that until it concludes. So I think for me, switching back and forth, it keeps me from getting bored. And then I also just really like a challenge.
Yeah.
So if something's hard and I can get it done, like, I'm like, okay, cool. This is amazing. Like, it just propels me forward. So trying new things. Yeah, I'm big on that in work and in life. And then just kind of switching it up here and there, like I'm looking at possibly doing some accounting just so I can learn more stuff to UPM, budget wise. Am I passionate about numbers? No, but
could you be a tax accountant? No, but
do not let me do your taxes. This is a PSA for everybody out there. You do not want me doing your taxes. No.
Me either, for that matter. Yeah.
This is not Yeah, welcome to the tax line. No. But I think it's great to learn that type of thing. And I think it's just good to have stuff in your back pocket, like, because you never know if you're working on a super small project, you might need to wear a ton of hats. If you're working on, a low budget film or just like somebody like a friend's passion project, you're gonna need to know how to do a lot of different things, the tech, like the camera work or sound, acting, but not a lot of people know the back end stuff. And so for me, it just seems like it makes sense for me to sort of fill that role.
Yeah, no, I love that. And I love that you started a little bit later in life too with that, because they make it seem like Hollywood is just a youth's game. Like it's only the young people that really can get into it. Like you had to start early,
Right.
and that's not the case. And I mean, I feel like I've worked more as I've gotten older than I did when I was younger, but it also might have been the lack of opportunities because of a certain complexion. But here we go. I do want to talk to you a little bit, because we were talking a little bit about this off air, where you have worked with children on some of your projects, and we both have watched that heartbreaking documentary, Quiet on Set, which I don't know if I'll ever think of that term the same way anymore when I'm on set anymore. But
no, I know.
Yeah. But I'm curious, because you did work on Spy Kids Armageddon, and you've worked with other films where they've had children in it, I'm sure. But what are a lot of the things that they kept kind of repeating is that nowadays there's a lot more parameters in there, more safety nets to make sure children are safe on set. And since you're the kind of like the person they would go to complain about those kinds of things and so on, what can you share, not only for people who are interested in getting into the industry and maybe a little set off from seeing the documentary, but also
it's definitely off-putting
of like crew members, like how can they make sure they're aware of that? Because I mean, it is an adult's playground in a way, but when children are there, you gotta, you have to step in that role model role in a way.
Yeah. And there's like a fine line between someone being friendly and someone being creepy.
Yeah. Obviously, we don't background check in the film industry for the most part, so you never know who you're. Well, some do actually.
Well,
some positions they do.
But point, I know I just worked with Netflix on Spy Kids, and then a lot of other studios are doing this. We now usually submit a list of people to be background checked that are going to be around the children that are cast. And that's just one of the things they do. We also have a child labor coordinator who has to be on set every time a child is rehearsing or filming that day, aside from the guardian. So the child will have a guardian on set, then they'll have the child labor coordinator that makes sure the hours that are being worked and the breaks and schooling, that type of thing. Then we have the tutor, unless it's summer. But depending on where the child is coming from, which state, like the laws differ. But we have those three things. All of them are background checked, except the guardian, because it's their guardian. But tutor, child labor coordinator, background checked. Then we usually have the director, first AD, the base camp PA, hair and makeup, pretty much anybody that's going to be in close proximity to the child throughout the day, like the cinematographer, the sound people, like anybody who's going to be doing last looks, that type of thing, they get background checked now too.
Okay.
And it's it's not just like the one, like it takes weeks. It's intense, which I think is great.
Yeah, no, I mean, just with for like being an adult, and my child no longer works in the industry, but like even just adding in the intimacy coordinator, I thought was huge. But I feel like it's almost giving people that, well, now we know how far the line we can go. How is that do you feel like that with children? Or do you feel like sometimes those people are truly like advocating for the child? Or do you feel like there's sometimes like, because that was the thing, like the guy I don't know. Well, obviously you've worked with great people because they were all background checked. I'm not saying anybody you worked with was.
But I mean, you have a point. Like, you never really know.
Yeah.
You never really know the priority of the person. Like if they're just there for the paycheck, or if they're there, because they really care. But I would have to say most of the people do seem like they care. there are certain tutors that I've been around where I'm like, this person is a teacher, like you just know, like a teacher that's like, this person is passionate about doing this. They want the kid to learn, and just being taught in a schoolroom on set is such a strange experience anyway. But to have and I think sometimes tutors just go through the motions and the kids go through the motions and that's that. But
just fulfill their obligation.
Exactly. Like I have tutors that I am like, if the child doesn't have a specific one, a lot of times the families will, be like, this is who we want. And that's great. But usually, like, if not, I have somebody that I'm like, this is my go-to person because I know they'll do a good job.
Yeah.
And that they'll care about the kid being taken care of.
Yeah.
So it's
there was like so many red flags in that film. I felt like that maybe sometimes with parents, when you don't know the industry, you're so easy to just, oh, well, I guess that's the way things are done. Or I don't want to, like the father in one of the episodes was just talking about he didn't want to be in his son's way. Like they ended up like kicking him off the set and he was no longer allowed on there. And you're like, wait, that's exactly what the person wanted to have access and so on. So it's like really understanding the voice parents have on set as well and understanding how to advocate for their child safely, I guess, so they don't feel like they're ruining their careers or a lot of, like I've worked with a lot of children actors.
Sorry. Kids are working, like it's a job, which is just strange in and of itself that you've got like a 9-year-old or an 8-year-old doing work. Like it's not just fun. Like they have to get this scene done. They have to memorize these lines. And to your point that you said earlier, like you grow up real fast on a set. Like what you're exposed to, like emotionally, like personalities and stuff like that. When you're like one of only a few kids around like 100 plus adults, like as careful as you can be, like you're still going to hear the dirty jokes. You're still going to hear this and that. Like you're still going to grow up faster than you would in just a regular school setting. So anything to like sort of mitigate that is welcome. And I do think Hollywood's trying to do better, but I think no matter how many safety nets you have, like stuff, like I hate to say it, but stuff's going to get missed.
Yeah. I mean, it happens at schools, it happens everywhere. It can happen anywhere. But I think just knowing from that documentary and having someone who's worked with not only children safely, but, can understand from both sides of it in the sense of like, I've worked with great people. This is what to look out for. And also when you're in smaller markets, it is like a family. You don't really have I feel so naive in a way that those kinds of things can happen because I've always worked on sets where it felt like a family and everybody was looking out for each other and the children were like all of our children, we all cared for them like they were our kids and would make Hollywood magic for them sometimes. Like if they had to work on their birthday or a holiday, like they did all the things. Like it was almost the most amazing experience. I loved it for my daughter when she was younger, but now that she's older, I'm kind of like, I don't trust them because she's 15. They'll usually either make you play older or younger at that age. And I don't want her to have to experience things before she's ready for them. And, whether it's your first kiss or talking about your body changes and different things that they'll have sometimes children actors talk about.
A lot of times it's very pointed topics that they either haven't experienced yet or, it's strange. I will say the Spy Kids set was, I think, a lot of fun for the kids. That group of people is just, they work together for so long. They're making movies for kids. Like they're having a fun doing it. So and it's playing superheroes. Like what kid wouldn't want to do that?
Exactly. And get to play fly and go. I mean, granted, I think I would have a little fear of heights maybe the first time around, but that's what stunt coordinators and so on help out with.
Exactly.
So moving forward, I know that I've heard a little story that you might be expanding the different services you're doing where you're also performing a little bit of voice acting.
I do. Yeah. I took some voice acting lessons. So my friend Amy Harmon and I have a podcast. Amy was, sorry, my dog's barking a little bit.
Okay. She's a cute dog or he.
He's a very manly man.
Wait, what is it? Maltese? I just saw a little bit of it.
It's a Couton. We're disrupting his nap time, I guess. No. But yeah, Amy and I started a podcast, and I sort of got some whispers about some voiceover work. And so I started taking voice lessons to just learn how to like record ads and stuff like that. So I haven't done too much of a deep dive yet, but I'm hoping to sort of break into that more. From my understanding, people tell me I have a calming voice. So yeah, maybe I'll do ads for like sleep medications or I don't know.
I wasn't thinking anything like that.
Bedtime stories, you know, like, yeah.
Wait, what was the second one?
Bedtime stories. Yeah. I'll get your kids to pass out. Don't you worry.
Well, that's one. So much like yourself, I was like, okay, the joke is black doesn't crack, but I'm like, eventually it does. And I'm going to have to need something else to do that's not just in front of the camera. And I was looking into voice acting, and then I was like, oh yeah, but I'm still dyslexic. So how does that work? And, you know, and so
plenty of takes and stuff like you do.
You can do it from home. That's what I was like, oh, so they don't even know how many takes you take and so on.
Exactly.
Most of the auditions are self-taped too. Same kind of concept in that way. So I'm glad that you're looking into it. And if you have any tips you can share.
Yeah, I'll send you some stuff offline.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Because I think during the pandemic. Okay. No, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, I was telling Amy one tip that I learned is, you know, if you get parched, eating, like speaking, or if you get like a lot of saliva, sorry, gross stuff, but a lot of voice actors will keep a little bag of Granny Smith, like sliced Granny Smith apples, and they'll take bites of that, and that makes it go away like instantly.
Oh,
yeah.
Good
so
to know.
If you're in a recording booth or anything like that, have some Granny Smith apples close at hand.
Great tip. That's one tip I have not heard. I was going to share that one of the only reasons possibly to be in SAG when you live in North Carolina is now they offer a lot of virtual classes, and one of them was some voice acting classes with different voice over actors. Awesome. And they had some that were from the audiobook side of things as well as from like animation and regular like ADR stuff and so on. And it was interesting just to hear like there's so many different options. And I interviewed the lady that's like the Alexa voice and does like there's so many options. Like even in the health industry, being the person that says these are the COVID protocols, like she did that for some of the like answering services and so on. Like oh my God, sorry, my ringer is off on my phone, but not on my watch.
No, my real like highlights, like I do like a little bit of audiobook reading, and then like it's not commercial work, but like in-house stuff, you know, like if you're doing like sorry, my brain's not working.
No, yeah.
If you're doing directions for like a new hire or something like that.
Yeah,
like
the industrials.
It's like, okay, like I'm going to walk you through this tutorial, like that type of thing. So not the most cutting edge, exciting stuff, but the audiobooks stuff is pretty great, actually. Yeah. So I'm hoping that'll work out. I need to like post my reel and do more work on that end of things, but I haven't really done that yet. I need to. So this is actually a good kick in the butt for me. Thanks, Camille.
Hey, that's what I'm here for. eSpot exclusives. Well, I so appreciate you spending the time with me today. I want to be considerate of your time because we are right at a little bit over 30 minutes. So considering all my little mistakes earlier.
Oh, you're great. You're great. You're an advocate.
I don't know if there's, sure.
No, you're a great advocate. I'm really like proud and happy to like that you've had me on this podcast. Like I'm so excited to be here. So I really appreciate it.
You. Well, I'm really grateful that we actually were able to make this all happen because scheduling with a UPM, that's also a script supervisor, that's also a voiceover actor, that's also like all those things. The person is busy. Okay.
Yeah. But it's sad that I wasn't busy doing any of those things. I was like,
nobody needed to know that.
Right. No, I was super busy. Wow. This week's been crazy.
Like all the calls from all the big studios.
Yeah. LA, London, things were out of control. Yeah. I can't keep up with it.
So you're the one crew person that's working a lot right now because it's been kind of slow. And I really have all the fingers crossed that there's not a strike possibly happening again. I don't know.
Like things are looking good, so but there won't be one. But fingers crossed.
All of them. But I do want to be considerate of your time. So is there anything else that you would like to promote, talk about? We talked about Blurtle. Make sure you guys follow and subscribe Blurtle.
Yeah.
The podcast with Amy, who was my last week's guest.
Yeah. we have a podcast where we make fun of each other and our Wordle guesses. And we say it's a little bit nerdy, a little bit dirty. Or our new favorite thing is head in the clouds, mind in the gutter. But it's just fun. It's just nerdy. We just talk about the New York Times Wordle puzzles, and then we usually get off track because we both have ADHD. So,
hello, welcome to. Well, I have ADHD too. So, if you ever need a third, but I've never done a Wordle. I was about to say Blurtle because I've never done one. One day I'll have to look into it.
Don't worry.
Sometimes I'm like, ooh, I want to do everything because everybody else is doing it at the same time. And then sometimes like, I'm going to be different because I'm dyslexic. So word games are not in my real house. Like I could be missing the words to make them fit. So
no, I get it.
Well, I'll try it out.
Trying to think if I have anything else going on. No, just trying to get into some commercial work and trying to work sort of in the Midwest. I haven't worked in New Mexico yet, hoping to get to work there. Or Oklahoma. So we'll see. Yeah. We'll wait and see what happens. Put some good energy out there.
Definitely all the good vibes. Make sure you follow, like, and share this episode if you loved it, because why wouldn't you? All the great things we learned today. And make sure you subscribe and like and all of the things over at Blurtle as well. They're on Instagram and, of course, everywhere that you can get podcasts from, as is the eSpot with Camille. And if you're not sharing this, what are you doing with your life? Like, come on, be a part of the party.
Yeah, this is time.
Right? If she's got time, you got time.
Yeah. Guys, pull it together.
I did it again. If they have time, you have time. See, this is the hardest part is because I'm just fine.
I only came out as non-binary, like, so the listeners know, like a year ago. So I get my own pronouns wrong. Okay. The
pressure of that.
I'm working. Yeah. Everybody's working on it. So.
And it's hard because you still, like visually, I would just automatically assume a certain gender. So it's like, I want, so it's just like automatic, but I have to like make my head actually think, no, don't go with what you're looking at. Go with what this person identifies as. And my apologies.
No, you're great. Don't worry. You're doing great.
Words have power. So I just like to make sure that I'm using them for the greater good. And I'm glad that you gave me that pause. And so everyone else out there also knows that you can just own, as long as you own it and apologize. It's
as long as you're trying, everybody should be given a little bit of grace.
Thank you. That's the part. Unless you're voting for a certain person, then you deserve. No, I'm kidding. Just subscribe and like anyway, but I worry about your mental health.
Let's get these numbers up, but if you could maybe not vote in the next election, that would be great.
Yeah, just skip it. That would be great. Take a day off. Enjoy it. All right, again, thank you so much, M. Woods, for joining me today. I love chatting with you. And this episode will be out Thursday. So again, see you guys soon. Thanks again for tuning in to the eSpot with Camille. Yay.
Know you can get it, looking exquisite, no competition, stay on a pivot. Hope be watching, they be plotting, she's so motherfucking independent. Mama be busy, got on her grind, she had to get out her mama house. Daddy be tripping, now she be whipping, ain't no more.